Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the e-learning modules of IPMWORKS. This presentation is part of module number 8, Soft Skills for Facilitating Interactive Learning and Demonstration on IPM. I am Laura Triste from Ilvo in Belgium, and I will present to you this chapter on tools for developing and facilitating a meeting. So before you start a meeting, you should consider a good preparation, because good preparation is half of the work. So we advise you to think on the following 5 aspects. First aspect, most important one, what are the goals and the desired outcomes of the meeting? So goals could be very different of your meeting, and there can be multiple goals in a meeting. But if you consider it really well in advance, it will be much easier to make a script for your meeting afterwards. Who are your target participants? Really important. Think about why you should involve who, and what their roles will be in reaching the goals that you have set before. Then the third thing to consider is how will you invite your participants? Draft some clear invitations with the objective on there, also why they should be there at your meeting, why it is important that they're there, and what is in it for them. A fourth aspect is prepare your meeting well, and this is what this presentation is also about. Think about the logistics of the room, the food and drinks, the beamer, etc. Consider your group dynamics. Think about the group setting. How should you arrange your meeting room? The previous chapter in this module also deals about this. Then think about the methods and facilitation tools, which is the core of this presentation, and draft a detailed script for the meeting. And then finally, provide some practical information to the participants. This could be about travel information, the address and the timing, etc., but also whether they need to prepare something, whether they have to prepare for the meeting. So did you ever specifically define the goals of your meetings? Because often people just say, oh yeah, we need a meeting and we can do it this, without really thinking through the goal of their meeting. And also, if you already did, and now you know that it's important to define the goal, how would you define the goal of your next meeting? Maybe you can take this along in the rest of this course. So we really advise you to draft a script before you as preparation of your meeting. So we have in the show notes, we have a template for script, for writing a script and preparing your meeting. And so on the left side, you can write the time. So how many time do you need for each section of my meeting? Then you write for each section the goal and what exactly you are going to do. Then you write which methods you will use to achieve this goal and which materials you need for that, but also who is responsible for this task, for bringing it during the meeting, but also for preparing it. So this is a really easy handout that you then have during the meeting, so you can always grab and take a look, oh, what is coming next, but also easy to prepare it together with the team. So then the selection process and methods of facilitation tool based on your goals. So that is the the rest of this presentation will deal with this topic. So there are different things to consider when you select a method or a facilitation tool. You consider the goal. What do you want to achieve with this method? You also consider your facilitation skills. So are you already a very experienced person? So you have tools who are a little bit more advanced, but you also have a lot of really easy to implement tools that do not require a lot of facilitation skills. Also the group characteristics. Do you have a big group, a small group, a very diverse group? So all these things are interesting to consider to select your goals, your methods. Accessibility. Not all tools are as easy accessible for everybody. So take this into account so that you don't avoid that people drop out of your method. Also the available time. You have tools that take a whole day, and you have tools that also only take 5 minutes. So this is also a selection criterion. Also variety. Try to include as much variety as possible in your meetings, so you can engage as much people as possible, because not everybody likes every type of method. And then also consent. It's not because people can participate that they also want to participate. So please don't force anybody. It's not good for the atmosphere. And also try to take this into account when preparing and choosing a tool. So which facilitation tools and methods do you already know? Do you have already used some yourself or participated in meetings with used tools that you can remember? I will now go through, give some examples of tools and methods that you could use for different objectives of the meeting. But know that there exist numbers and tons of methods online. You have a lot of repositories online, and I will mention some at the end of this presentation. But these are just an example of what you could do in your meeting. So as a first example, with the objective to get to know each other, we advise to do some icebreaker, to bring some energy in the room, to get people a little bit more comfortable. And this icebreaker is called Finding Your Place. The objective is to bring some energy in the room and to get people to know each other. So what can you do? The idea is that you put forward a statement or a question on the topic of your meeting. For example, what is your level of experience in IPM? And then you say, everybody who is a layman, who doesn't have experience at all, go to the left of the room. Everybody who is really experienced, go to the right of the room, and all the rest, find a spot in the middle, according to the scale where you're at. And then when everybody has found his place, then you pick some people and ask their name, where they're from, and why they are on that spot, why they have chosen that spot. So this is a nice and easy way to get to know each other and to bring some energy in the room. A next objective. So I have in this presentation, that's maybe good to know, I explain, I show a simple slide with just an introduction of the method, but then there's also a slide with some more extensive information. So a second step in your meeting could be to explain the project or the meeting, why the people are there. Can be easy, just a PowerPoint presentation, but it's an important step. So show what's the value for them, why are they there, so people understand what they are doing there and spending their time. There are some tips we can give you for these PowerPoint presentations. Keep it concise. We don't need a half an hour of presentation because you knock down all the energy that you have built up during your Energizer. Also, limit the text on your slides and keep it as relevant as possible. And you can invite a testimony, for example, to make it a little bit more practical. Also explain what's in it for the farmers, why they are there in the meeting. And you can have some more interaction in the room and add some questions. For example, you could use some polling software for that, or you can just ask some questions during your presentation. Then, for another objective, if you would like to, with your group, identify and share some problems or challenges, this method, the stinky fish methods, can be used. Its aim is to gain some insights in the shared problems in the group. So what you do, you give each participant 5 minutes to write down some challenges or problems, which are the stinky fish, on a post-it. You only write one problem on one post-it, so you can write multiple post-its, but just one problem on one post-it. Then you make a round, and every participant shares his stinky fish or her stinky fish in 1 minute. And then you ask to the other participants who has the same or a similar stinky fish. And this way you collect and cluster the post-its and everybody can see it. And at the end, you have an overview of the most reported challenges in the group. And you could do some kind of prioritization afterwards, like what are the most urgent challenges or problems in this group to deal with. Now that you have identified these problems, you might want to understand a little bit better these problems. And a method to use for that is, and to visualize this in a nice way, is the problem tree. So you take the core problem that you have identified as a priority, and you write it in the trunk of the tree. And then you have the roots in which you put post-its with the causes of this problem, and also the effects in the leaves of the tree. And you can write some or draw some lines between the roots and the effects. And it's based on this, you can have a shared idea of the problem, and also maybe specify a little bit more what then is the problem, and to decide on the future steps. So which root causes do we have to handle first? Then, if you have decided upon which steps to follow, you could, for example, co-develop solutions and strategies with the group you have. A really easy and accessible method is the 1, 2, 4, all method. And it's a really nice exercise because you involve all participants in your group in coming up with ideas for solutions, also those who are not really keen in talking in public. So a first step is that you ask participants to think for 1 minute for themselves on a solution on the problem that you have set before. And then you ask them to team up, to make pairs, and they exchange their solution they have come up with, and they generate an idea based on their ideas. Then the pairs team up with another pair, so they are with the 4, and they also exchange and develop an idea together. And then they share, these groups of 4 share their idea in the whole group in plenary. So this is a really nice way to involve even shy people also in the process of producing solutions. Then maybe if you have selected, for example, an IPM measure that you would like to have implemented or would like to work on, it might be interesting to identify the needs or the learning needs of farmers on this specific measure or strategy. And a way to do this is, for example, you take this template and you, on the left-hand side, you write down the IPM measures that farmers are interested in. And then you think about what do I have to learn? What do I need to know to implement this IPM measure? Then you think about what do I need, which resources do I need, like machinery, labor, etc., to implement this IPM measure. And then there might be some other needs or things that you need to do this, for example, some approval from the municipality or something else. So if you have this overview, then after this exercise, you can cluster them, and you can see how you can support your farmers in a good way. Then, if there is an IPM strategy of a farmer you would like to discuss, and you would like to think on how you could improve this IPM strategy, you could use the method of sabotage. It's a really nice exercise because you make participants think on how they could sabotage the IPM strategy of a farmer, and what are the blind spots and how they can be improved. So how do you go? A farmer presents his or her IPM strategy, and then you ask all the other participants to write on a post-it 1 or 2 things that could make the plan fail. Then you cluster the ideas, and then you categorize them between nuisance, like it's a bit annoying but not a real problem, and real sabotage ideas. And then with these real sabotage ideas, you split up groups, and each groups try to come up with some ideas or solutions on how you could deal with this sabotage idea. And then you try on how you could solve these. And then based on all these exercises, you try to, in the end, improve the initial IPM strategy by bringing together all these inputs from the different groups. And then at the final end of your session, we suggest you wrap up. You make some concluding section. It does not have to take a long time, but it's nice to to repeat the take-home messages and to maybe discuss upon what we could do next in the next meeting. And an easy method for this is the Pearl Puzzles Proposals method. And you can obtain in an easy way feedback from participants with the pearls, where they say what they really liked about the meeting, what they learned, what was really interesting for them. Then on the puzzles, what they did not like very much, or they are a little bit confused in, or where they still have questions on. And then proposals on what you could do during a next meeting based on what was discussed during this meeting. So this is just an example of tools that you could use. Which tools and methods of what I presented now would you use in your meeting? And maybe are there tools that you would not dare to use or think it's not appropriate to use? So maybe you could have a discussion on that. Or do you recall any nice or interesting methods from meetings that you participated in yourself? And I think it's an advice to you. If you participate in meetings, keep an eye on which methods they use and think, could I use it myself or not? It's really an interesting learning experience. So as I told you, this is only a really small sample of the type of tools that you could use. And there are online a lot of toolboxes available for inspiration. I personally really like the Session Lab because you have a very big inventory of tools and methods that you can select upon the objective, but you can also see for which group size. So there's a lot of inspiration to find there, also sometimes with some templates. And then you also have the Speak Out toolbox from Leaf, that's really interesting and hands-on. So then I thank you very much and for listening, and I wish you good luck with preparing your next meeting. Bye.